Start with Morrissey.
Every day is like Sunday. Every day is silent and grey. Trudging back over pebbles and sand.
Every Day is Like a Sunday, an early solo hit for Morrissey in 1988, just months after the split of the band he fronted, the Smiths. Today regarded as one of the best-loved and most influential British groups, the Smiths have never reformed despite lucrative offers. Morrissey has enjoyed a successful solo career with 9 studio albums so far, and a reputation as one of pop's most witty and inventive lyricists. He's a reluctant interviewee, though, and in recent years has regarded the British media with increasing disdain. But earlier today, Morrissey arrived at the Front Row studio, keen to talk about his latest album, a best-of collection of singles, B-sides and album tracks. When he launched his solo career 23 years ago, could he have imagined that it'd still be around in 2011?
Not at all. I'm very surprised it's lasted so long, especially, shall we say, under the circumstances. It hasn't been the easiest journey, but I'm very surprised, very, very surprised. Initially, I thought maybe if I could do 1, maybe 2 albums, that would be extraordinary.
To take you back to, the first album, and you thought maybe you'd get a couple of albums, what would you have done afterwards in your mind?
I would have become a novelist, which is what most people who can't write do. But otherwise, I really don't know.
You don't know?
No, I really don't know, because I only ever wanted to sing. That was the only thing. To me, that was the ultimate power and the ultimate form of expression. And that's all I wanted to do.
You can't do it by yourself any longer. You're gonna need someone on your side.
When you write or record a song when you're in your 20s, and then you find yourself singing it once you've turned 50, you have to think about the words. You have to think, for example, do I look silly or do I sound silly now singing those words? But I think for the most part, I don't.
Are there songs in the back catalogue that you just don't sing anymore because it'd be embarrassing?
There's a couple of songs. Many of the earlier songs were like mating calls. Unanswered, of course, but they were like mating calls. And I have to think very seriously about trying to sing them now, because obviously, the dreaded subject of age and so forth.
Which songs in particular?
I don't want to tell you.
Really?
Yeah.
Let the listeners decide for themselves.
But the thing is, I have to consider how people viewing me will see me as I sing those words. And it's a minor consideration, but it's a consideration nonetheless. And none of us want to look like an idiot.
Yeah. And looking back, most of these songs are at least 20 years old, and they mark that transition point from being the frontman of a much-loved band, the Smiths, to forging your own identity.
Yes.
And looking back, having to listen to these songs and again, as you say, reevaluate them, re-understand them, did that take you back to a daunting period of your life? Were you scared, or was there a sense of freedom?
It was daunting more than free, but the transition was so quick, and the first single and the first album happened so quickly that if I had left it, and if I had thought too much about the gulf, then perhaps I would have been more hesitant. But because it happened as a solo singer, it happened so quickly for me, then there was never time to think. Suddenly I was there, and suddenly I was here, and let it be.
I'm so sorry.
And you hear on that first single, Suede Head, you almost hear the baton being passed from the Smiths to Morrissey.
Yes.
And it's very hard, obviously, for you to sound different, noticeably different, and you were never going to suddenly become a jazz singer overnight or a techno artist.
No.
But you can hear that could have been a Smiths record, Suede Head.
Well, to me, the whole thing is seamless, really, and people talk about Smiths songs and they talk about solo songs, but I don't really see any difference.
One body of work.
Yeah. For me, from how I approach it and how I am in the middle of it all, there's no difference at all. And I don't feel that Smith songs belong to other people. So it's seamless.
They're all yours.
Yes, they are all me.
And you're very proprietorial of the Smiths, of the name, of the legacy, of what it meant.
Yes.
I mean, it means so much to other people, you know that.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And you share that.
I do, and that was the intention, and I'm very happy with the Smiths' legacy. I'm very, very happy. It's a great name still. It doesn't sound like a silly name from the 80s. It still speaks for now. The music still speaks for now.
It's the everyman band, isn't it? That was the intention of the name, the Smiths.
It was indeed.
And Johnny Marr, your former bandmate, very protective of the Smiths' legacy. He issued an edict to the Prime Minister David Cameron to say that you're not allowed to listen to the Smiths songs because Cameron claims to be one of your biggest fans. You're with Johnny on that one, are you?
Yes, I am indeed, because of David Cameron is a hunter and he kills stag and so forth, and that's everything the Smiths were against. But then once you release something and it's out there in the world, you can't really trap people into either listening or not listening. You can't really insist that people listen or don't listen. So it's very difficult. Sometimes you see people whom you would least expect to be interested, and they have a lifestyle which is everything that you oppose, and yet they're very influenced by something you've done. And you think, well, how does it connect? Where's the connection?
And does it give you any quiet sense of pride that the Prime Minister of Great Britain is a massive, not only a massive Smiths fan, but supposedly a massive Morrissey fan?
Yes, he's been to many, many Morrissey concerts, and the Daily Telegraph at one stage wrote that I had banned him from coming backstage, which was, of course, was absolute crap. But it's a mystery. But
have you met him?
No, I've never met him.
So he's never knocked on the dressing room door?
No, he's never knocked on the dressing room door. But when you make music, of course, you're very happy that anybody listens, whoever they may be. But somebody with such an extreme lifestyle as David Cameron, killing stags, as I say, as a hobby sport, you're mystified. You just can't see how it joins.
So you don't ban him from the gigs, but you wouldn't necessarily open the dressing room door to him?
Well, no, I don't think I would, because it's a moral issue, isn't it?
And taking you back to, I mean, the way that you used to, and you've talked to me about this before, writing with Johnny Marr, it was this unit, and he was creating what he calls pop symphonies. You were providing him with the poetry, and you're writing notebooks all the time. And do you sit down and work? Is there a disciplined process of writing, or is it just whenever inspiration strikes?
It doesn't stop. It really doesn't stop. It's the way I live, and it's the way I live every single day. I don't do anything else.
But right.
Yes, and I have no other interest other than music at all.
The song titles themselves have a melodic quality. There's an internal rhythm in sometimes the very... I mean, the last of the famous international playboys that we talk about there. It almost suggests a melody. So when you write, does that start with the title, the line, or the melody?
I think the title is often more important than the song, because more people will read the title than will hear the song. And a title can draw people in or repel them. And it's very important to me that all the words have very soft edges and are very easy to say.
There is a light that will never go out.
Yes. Well, yes.
And many others.
And thousands of others that are too plentiful to mention.
I am the last of the famous international playboys, the last of the famous international playboys.
You must have noticed outside, as you arrived at Broadcasting House, that Regent Street is festooned with Union Jacks.
Yes.
They have gone up overnight, and you must notice London and Britain changing every time you return, because I mean, you told me on this programme last time that you live a kind of a nomadic lifestyle. You're living in hotels around the world.
Yes.
You didn't seem particularly pleased with Britain 2 years ago. Has it changed noticeably?
I think it's changed dramatically. It's become very American in terms of news reporting and so forth, and in terms of television generally. But I find that politically it's very, very hard to take. And now, of course, we're aware of politics 24 hours a day.
Can you foresee a time when you would return to Britain to live permanently?
Yes, I could very easily. But it's become like America in the sense that you have to be very aware of what you must avoid, and you mustn't really watch the television, and you mustn't really listen to the news, and we all love royalty, and I find that very, very insulting.
People love a lot of people love the Smiths, as you know. And you cringed when I asked this last time. It has to be asked. You said it will never happen.
No, It won't happen.
The Smiths reunion will never happen. So there's still no closer. Even though you agree with Johnny Marr that David Cameron is banned from listening to the Smiths music, you're not going to come any closer than that with Johnny and
I don't
get
think
back
so.
together. Do you follow him on Twitter, by the way?
No.
He's very funny.
Is he really? I've never followed anybody on Twitter. But why? There's no reunion point. There really is no point at all that I can think of. And that's that.
You've mentioned before that you were writing a memoir. How far?
Yes.
How far through it are you?
How far am I? Well, I've reached the redrafting, trimming stage.
Oh, so you've been through the whole life,
Yes.
and now you...
The whole life, yes. I've been through the whole life in many ways. And I just wonder if 660 pages are too much for people to bear.
Right.
And then I sit down and think, well, are 6 pages too much for people to bear? I really don't know. So I'm trimming.
You're trimming at the moment.
I'm trimming
So
at
you've
the
written.
moment.
So you've written what? A couple of 100,000 words?
Yes. Which is baffling because I'm really not that interesting. So I don't know why I've written so much.
But you have a publisher then?
No,
do you?
I don't.
So it's going to be offered.
Yes.
I read that you wanted it published by Penguin and to become published as a Penguin classic straight away.
That was right, yes. Yes.
And that you'd still like that to happen.
I can't see why not.
The very first contemporary Penguin classic.
You're not mentioned, John.
The great.
You're not mentioned, I'm sorry.
Oh, dear me. So you're going to carry on making music. The autobiography will come out
Yes.
within the next year or so.
Yes.
And then you don't consider, I don't know, bowing out musically while you still have the hair and a waistline? Or are you going to just carry on like the old blues singers?
I'm just going to carry on like the old blues singers and die on stage in Chicago, probably. I don't know. As the world knows, music has changed dramatically, and record labels have changed dramatically. Their needs and requirements have changed dramatically. So somebody of an advanced age, shall we say, finds it very, very difficult to convince, etc. But not convince an audience, but just convince the existing shops and so forth that you're sellable and stockable. So it's all very difficult. It doesn't become easier. But nonetheless, I'm still here.
Singer, songwriter and author Morrissey. The album The Very Best of Morrissey is out next week.